Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. Saran says, I don't know if it's an elephant in the room for you all, but the elephant in the room for me is that this is the first time I've been making a video in a really long time. It's been a really long time, but that's okay because we won't dwell on the past. I'm back and I'm happy to be back, and today I am excited that we are reading, resourcing, and reviewing You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. Okay, so just message to you all, yes you are a badass. Moving forward, so I found out about You Are a Badass from last year's or 2017's bestseller books on how to become a better you. I'm all about becoming a better me. I'm all about helping other people become a better them. So that's what led me to You Are a Badass, how to stop doubting your greatness and start living an awesome life. Yes, so let's jump right in. You Are a Badass is actually a really good book that kind of goes through these main ideas about like what's stopping you from your greatness and how do you get over what's stopping you so that you can get to your greatness. My initial thoughts were that I was going to get through this book and I was going to highlight notes and I was going to take all of these things and come back to it, but I was on vacation in Mexico. I read the book in like 2.5 days, and then 2 months later I went back and read it again because I loved it so much. And it's not so much about like seeing the book and reading the book, it's as much as it's about feeling the book, feeling like you are a badass. So that's definitely the message that the author is trying to portray to you. At the end of every single chapter, her main advice to the reader is love yourself. Love yourself, love yourself, love yourself, because who else are you going to love more? Love yourself because it makes sense. Love yourself because that's the only way that it's going to happen. Love yourself because you need to love yourself, right? So the main key that she's saying to being a badass is loving yourself. But she also really talks about these key ideas around what's stopping us from reaching our greatness. And one of the main things that she talks about is your mind. She says that your subconscious has these ideas about who you are and what you can do that you don't even always see and that you can't always recognize, but that is constantly kind of dictating the decisions that you make. And why you make them, right? These beliefs that we're not good enough, these beliefs that we don't have what we need, these beliefs that there's always been something that's holding us back from our greatness, and not understanding that the role that the subconscious plays in dictating how we see ourselves. And how we see ourselves is how we show up in the world. One of the really cool things about You Are a Badass is that Sincero tells these anecdotes and these stories about her life and things that she's experienced. And she finds a way to tell these experiences in this really unique way that kind of makes you say like, wow, she's had a really amazing life. But what she's doing is she's just looking at these examples where she recognized in moments that her brain was making a mental shift, or that she looked back and said, wow, that was a defining moment for me. And it was very simple things. There weren't all grand, like I traveled the world and I saw things differently. It was simple things like turning over one morning and looking at somebody and being like, oh my God, what is this? Or being in the club dancing with your friends and realizing that it was freedom that was, that was taking you to peace and happiness and joy about your life. But she tells these stories in this really funny, kind of lighthearted way that makes it really easy to relate to her and to connect to the stories. I think one of the things that's cool about the tone of this book is that it's very like stern and very like you are a badass, but it's also very light and free and almost makes you feel like she's just a friend that's kind of talking to you, that friend that's very like, it is what it is and just go with the flow and you already know, you run the show. You like what I did there? Yeah, so that was really great. I really like that about this book. And her writing style is clean. It's fun. it's exciting. You know, it was really exciting to get through this book. Obviously, like I said, I read the book in 2 days and then I read it again. You know, how often do you go back and read books? And the second time I read it, that was when I really went through it and took notes and was like, wow, how can I apply this to what my life, and how can I relate this to what I'm doing? And I was more intentional about really taking the notes from it. But when I was reading it just to enjoy it and reading it to gain from it, I had the same feeling of excitement and enjoyment about the text. Some of the key themes in You Are a Badass are procrastination, fear, compassion, gratitude, and more. And she explains all of these ideas with looking at yourself as the central focus in it all, and understanding that you pretty much already have what it takes to be successful. You are already a badass. It's just, what do you need to do to step into that greatness? And what do you need to do to see yourself in that way so that you can get over the BS and get to the amazingness, the awesomeness, the enlightenment of your life, as they say. So it was really good to read a book where, you know, it's clear, the steps are clear what she's asking you to do. And she's not saying, you know, open your eyes and see this, see the sky and let the sun beat down on your face and feel the warmth, as much as she's just saying, like, pivot, you know, understand what's going on and understand that it's not as hard as you think it is to reach your greatness. It's not as hard as you think it is to reach your goals. Once you decide that you're going to do something, and once you decide that you're going to go after something, there is nothing that is stopping you. You can do it, and you should do it, and you could do it, and you will do it, right? So I felt really good after reading this book, knowing that it wasn't a big, deep, grand message that Sincero was trying to say. It wasn't like this big aha moment where you're like, oh my God, that book changed my life. You know, some self-help books you get that feeling from, like, I see the world differently. You know, I have many books on my list of favorite books where they literally changed my life. This wasn't a book that changed my life, but this is a book that I actually went out and bought after I rented it, because I was so interested and so, you know, encouraged after reading it. I would say that is definitely one of the gems of You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero, is that it is a book that you can come back to often. It is a book that you can just flip open a page and read a message, own it and work with it. Make a bet with someone mean, right? Prove to yourself, love yourself, right? These same key messages of love yourself. It's kind of like positive affirmations, just a daily reminder that you are a badass. And badassness, if you would call it, is something that is already a part of you. It's not something that's outside of you. It is something that is already a part of you. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching this review on You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. You can find the book on Amazon. I got my copy at Target. Anywhere you can find books, you can find it. It's a pretty popular book and it's doing great right now. So definitely check it out, and remember always, as Jen Sincero says, to love yourself, for that is the key to being a badass. Thank you all for watching. I will see you all later. Make sure you visit self-sabotaging.com to check out more books we will be reading and resourcing and reviewing this year. Happy reading! If you want to check out more books like You Are a Badass, you can do so at self-sabotaging.com. Peace, love, sanity, and serenity.